What defines a man has changed between cultures and times, but one thing has held constant: the need for rites of passage, initiation into the deep structures of manhood.
You a man, Drover?
Yeah, try to be.
Sometimes men gotta get away from women.
Maybe.
That's why you go droving.
I got driving because that's my job.
If you don't go droving, you're not a man.
All right, boys, settle up. Bring him down the back paddock, will you?
King George tell me I gotta go walkabout. If I am man, I gotta go walkabout. Learn to be a man.
Yeah. It's up to Mrs. Boss. What are you doing, right?
You need to hear me? We're a generation of men raised by women. I'm wondering if another woman is really the answer we need.
There are many similarities between modern and ancient rites of passage. To start off, we shall look to the ancient. Most ancient rites of passage all have similar themes: independence, the acquisition of skills or knowledge, and the tolerance or infliction of violence. We will begin by addressing the theme of independence. As shown in the beginning clip, the boys of Australian Aboriginal tribes are ushered into manhood by a unique rite of passage called the walkabout. A walkabout is an ordeal of up to 7 months where young males face the unforgiving and harsh wilderness of the outback, living solely off the land. Throughout this experience, boys mature, learn more about themselves, accept deeper responsibilities, and take on new responsibilities and relationships. In Native American tribes, a similar experience takes place, a vision quest. More specifically, in the Lakota tribe, when a boy comes of age, he ventures into the surrounding wilderness in search of a spiritual vision or other representations of meaning to his life. The seeker, who usually fasts in preparation for the excursion, may even ingest hallucinogens in order to more effectively commune with nature. There is something about being alone in the wilderness that brings us closer, more aware of the 4 elements and our connection to the creational source. We go to seek truths and divine realization, just as many of the ancient prophets did in their time. Silent Feathers from Sacred Pathways. During the 10th century, from roughly 650 BC to 100 BC, the fierce people of Sparta sent their boys off at the age of 7 to undergo agoge. During this time, away from their family, the boys would be militarily trained in a state-run system of education. Often, the camps purposefully did not provide sufficient food for the boys. This encouraged them to steal, be independent, and make for themselves. Fast forward to medieval times, where at age 7 a boy who was raised knowing that he would one day be a knight was taken from his home and moved to the household of a knight or a royal member. There he served as a page to the knight, acting as manservant and also learning religion, hunting, and other skills. After about 7 years of service, the page was promoted to a squire, taking on the added duties of assisting in battle. After approximately 7 more years, the squire would be knighted and would take on the full duties he had assisted with for most of his life. The next theme we will cover is the commonly encountered acquisition of skill or knowledge. Skills can be both physical and mental in nature. Skills that are acquired in the realm of mental agility include survival knowledge. For example, during walkabout and vision quests, the boy must first study survival in the wilderness, including knowledge of first aid or which plants are edible. Some of the knowledge passed down during initiation and rites of passage apply to the ancestral history of the culture or tribe. For example, in the Okik tribe in Kenya, certain secret knowledge is passed down as a part of the rituals that transform the children into adults. This exchange takes place during a seclusion of several months following a ritualistic circumcision. More traditional aspects of mental acquisition would be in preparation towards future profession. For example, The medieval squire learned the skills and responsibility of the knight that he would hopefully become after observing and assisting one for more than 2/3 of his life. Now let's move on to the physical skills that were often acquired during ancient rites of passage. Physical proficiency in certain areas or professions is required in a few different initiation rites. Remember, as boys, the Spartans learned the necessary combat skills which would be used later on in their lives as warriors, as well as the ruthlessness necessary for survival on the savage battlefield. In the Hamar culture in Ethiopia, to be allowed to marry, a boy needs to exhibit the ability to jump over circumcised cattle 4 times while wearing cords symbolic of the childhood he is to leave behind. On the small Pacific island of Vanuatu, the boys of the tribes train for years to properly execute the ancient art of land diving from a ladder nearly 100 feet tall with only unelastic vines as their support. This is not only a rite of passage, but also a ritual held yearly during the harvest, making it an integral part of tribal manhood. Occasionally, a different sort of physical attribute is emphasized, not one of ability to do, but instead of the ability to endure. Endurance of elements, nature, and even violence inflicted by others in the community is often a huge part of the initiation into manhood. For instance, during Agoge, Spartan boys are constantly flogged to help callous them into being men. Another more drastic example is that of the Saturmoa people of Brazil, who use stingers of purposefully enraged bullet ants, which are woven into a glove, as a part of their initiation rite. The venom from this ant glove ordeal leaves the victim's hand paralyzed for days, and then uncontrollable for days more. This element actually brings us to our next theme of passage, violence. What positive effects could violence possibly have on initiation into manhood? You might just be surprised. For one, the endurance of such violence can often increase camaraderie. Camaraderie can inspire several things, such as affinity for others who are also experiencing the same hardships and initiations. It will also create a rapport with the respected elders as well as other men in the culture who have gone through the same rites of passage previously. This rapport, which could not exist in the average social circumstance, serves as a binding factor to the community. Elements of physical rites of endurance and infliction can also help ready the initiate for the physical challenges to come in his adult life. After years of training, these challenges may include enduring physical assaults that must be withstood on the battlefield. The physical initiation also prepares the boys with the ability to dole out pain when necessary. This experience is invaluable on the battlefield, where one must not only be able to withstand war wounds, but also be able to inflict fatal wounds without a second thought. Violence is currently one of the most socially unacceptable acts associated with ancient rites of passage. That being said, violence has been documented as one of the most effective elements for initiating the metamorphosis from boy to man. Because in order for the man to be born, the boy must die.